GameStop is back up 66% today. The mania continues. Who's to blame for this? Is it WallStreetBets, the hedge funds, Robinhood? Time to think like an investor. Welcome back to the channel, guys. If you're new here, I'm Josh, and it's been a blast watching this story as it unfolds, this whole GameStop pandemonium. But one thing I'm finding is that you guys are giving great feedback and giving great discussion in the comments and all this stuff, but 75% of the people who watch these videos aren't subscribed. So if you guys could do me a massive favor, go hit that subscribe button if you find these valuable whatsoever. But today I want to talk about who's to blame for this whole thing, because one of the biggest questions I'm getting is, who's the bad guy here? Who's the good guy here? People kind of want a scapegoat. Like, is it WallStreetBets that's to blame for this whole thing? Is it Robinhood? Is it the hedge funds? Let's dive into that. If you guys don't know what's happening, essentially what's transpired is that a Reddit forum has gone in a massive battle with Wall Street, and now Robinhood is involved as this scapegoat. I think you guys, if you want to know more about what's actually happened, I have 2 other videos on the channel kind of outlining how we got to this point. But I want to talk about WallStreetBets specifically, because they're kind of being championed as the hero of the whole story. And that's definitely interesting, because I think that if we think of the narrative, what's happening here in terms of a hero and a villain, we're not going to get very far, because I think all of the different parties involved have elements of good and bad to them. For instance, WallStreetBets, you could think of it as this amazing thing. It's all these people coming together in a community, getting interested in investing, you know, this whole idea of trying to democratize wealth management and get more people involved in the markets. Like, as a side tangent, that's an awesome thing, because what we know is that people who take a big portion of their income and get it into assets and get it into businesses, those people tend to have a better quality of life and they increase their wealth, as opposed to people who just kind of hold money in cash. So it's great that we have all this education and all this discussion around investing. That is awesome. And not only that, their whole challenge of Wall Street here is kind of inspiring. It's the people versus the establishment. It's innovating. It's coming up with new ways, change how markets work to benefit more people. There are, WallStreetBets is not by any means, crystal clean. They're not perfect. If you look on those forums, there's tons of, racial slurs. There's slurs towards people with disabilities. They're not very politically correct. They're not very polished. And that's what I find interesting, is that I think if they want to stake their claim and if they want to make a difference, they kind of have to clean up the act a little bit, which is tough to do, obviously, when you have 2 million people. But it's interesting to see how, one of the stories we were talking about is how Ted Cruz and AOC actually got along over this whole thing. AOC tends to be a very socialist-leaning person, doesn't like Wall Street, doesn't like the hedge funds, and, Republican people are typically more in support of these institutions. But they got together over this and said, yeah, down with Wall Street, down with these hedge funds. Had the roles been different, AOC or Ted Cruz would have never actually really agreed with WallStreetBets, because they're so politically incorrect, and a lot of the stuff that's going on there just is not polished. And finally, the one thing that is bothering me about WallStreetBets, it's kind of manipulating or changing the legitimacy of America's financial markets. The reason the American stock market is so respected and trusted, and the reason it works well, is because there's so much trust and people actually respect the system. This reminds me of like this American Idol story, I don't know what this was, 5-10 years ago, where some radio host in the States had all of their listeners vote for a contestant that was just absolutely brutal, kind of as like a meme, as a joke, and it actually ended up working. And it really destroyed the legitimacy of American Idol, because there was collusion for everyone to bet for one person who really wasn't that great. And you can see how that kind of ruins the show. Now, as for Robinhood, it appears that the media in general and people everywhere are painting them as the villain. And okay, fair enough. They've had this whole marketing and branding campaign about how they're democratizing investing and how, we're gonna steal from the rich and give to the poor. And now when it comes time for the little man to stand up to Wall Street and stand up to the hedge funds, Robinhood says, no, we're actually gonna restrict trading on those stocks. So it's really, that's not a great look for them whatsoever. I think that if there's something Robinhood has done terribly wrong here, it's the fact that they probably destroyed their brand value forever. Which is funny, because they were actually thinking about doing an IPO this year, and they were gonna go public themselves. So it's funny, like if a stock trading app goes public that you can then trade within the app, it's like kind of like Stockception, it's like an inception. But anyways, The crazy thing about this is that if they go public, I imagine WallStreetBets is going to collude and just destroy their stock somehow. I mean, they've already done something called, what is it, rate spamming? I don't know what it is. It's something where you get everybody together and go rate their app 1 star. Their ratings are destroyed on the App Store. So this is obviously not great, but here's the thing. I am not one to defend Robinhood. I've made videos in the past about Robinhood's dirty little secrets and all these different things. I am not a defender of this company for many reasons. But in this case, I kind of play the contrarian role. I think that Robinhood is actually, I don't think they're in as hot water as the media makes it seem. I think they actually have justified reasons for what they did. And you have to understand, when you sign up for Robinhood, you're not signing up for an Instagram account or a Snapchat account. It's not like 20,000 people can easily sign up at once and there'll be no issues. When you sign up for Robinhood, you're signing up for an app that allows you to trade physical assets that are the claim on an actual corporation or business. This is real life stuff. This isn't digital media that you can just upload to an app. We're talking clearing and settlement and exchanges and regulators. When you have the amount of volume that we've had, the magnitude of this is much bigger than most people imagine. There's 2 or 3 million people here taking part. Like I said, I think in a previous video, 56% of all Robinhood accounts have GameStop in it. This volume is crazy. This isn't easy for Robinhood in this position to just say, oh, we're gonna hold the risk, because here's one thing you have to understand. When you trade a stock, there's something called a settlement date. You buy it, let's say on Monday, and then we have something called T+2, trading date +2. So if you buy on Monday, the actual physical exchange of money and ownership of a stock doesn't take place until Wednesday, which means that from Monday to Wednesday, Robinhood holds a ton of risk. So for them to just idly sit by while regulators are on their case, while hedge funds are probably calling them saying what the heck's going on, while their customers are barraging them with just tons of requests, the media is reaching out, people are freaking out, and they were planning to IPO this year. There's probably investors and banks in their ear saying, hey, are we still IPOing? There's a ton going on with them. So I want to give them a little benefit of the doubt and say what they did was potentially necessary. I don't want to side with Wall Street and the hedge funds and say that, okay, let's screw the little guy. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is this is more complicated than you think. And Robinhood and Interactive Brokers and Schwab and these different brokers who restricted trading were probably within their right to do that. The last thing you have to understand is these are private companies. They can choose to do whatever they want. I mean, ultimately they might destroy their brand value. But if you're a private business, you can choose to do what you want, and if people want to leave, they can leave. So what happens here in the grand scheme? How does this play out? I mean, I guess we're gonna have to see, but I think there's gonna be some major distinctions. And I was even on a call with a client for their annual review yesterday, and they said, you know what, Josh, I think we're gonna, in the future, we're gonna think about the market pre-GameStop and post-GameStop. This might be a defining moment in the history of the stock market. We might look back at this day or this week as something that really changed things. And what I think might happen, my speculation of how this might play out, is the regulators are going to react in a way that doesn't satisfy WallStreetBets. They're gonna react in a way that maybe even benefits Wall Street, and it's gonna cause a bit of an uproar. People need a scapegoat. They wanna see that someone got taken down or someone got put in jail or Robinhood got sued. And I think we're just not gonna see something that crazy. And because of that, it might just pull apart this class divide that we're seeing between the left and the right and contentious elections and Trump versus Biden. And I think what we're seeing is this divide in our culture. And if the regulators don't react in a way that Wall Street bettors want or that the public wants, it's going to continue to divide this. And my take, and where I think this could get actually really interesting, is that we could see a crypto style stock exchange where no longer are we trading stocks through the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ, but now we're gonna be trading them peer-to-peer between each other. We'll have like our own crypto wallet for different stocks and we'll trade amongst each other rather than through an exchange that can be manipulated by hedge funds or what have you. But anyways, guys, that's what I've got for today. That's kind of where my head's at thinking through these different issues. It's not as if there is one person that's purely in the right and one group that's purely in the wrong. There's a lot of people on a gradient. A lot of people are in a mixture of the two, and it's just a bunch of incentives that are coming together to create this perfect storm. I'm excited to see how it plays out. If you guys get any value from these videos whatsoever, please make sure to hit that like button, hit subscribe, and we'll turn on post notifications for more videos just like this one every single week. Until next time.